So good morning. I'm not so tall, so I'm going to lower this a little bit. I'd like to introduce the reform project briefly to you, and also of some of the reasons why such a project is requested by the European Commission. So what's at stake with rivers and water bodies? This is the recent assessment of the European Environment Agency. Our river basin management plans across Europe contain 127,000 water bodies, out of which 82% are rivers, and 40% of those rivers are affected by hydromorphology. And the causes are hydropower, navigation, agriculture, flood protection, and urban environment. So beside nutrients, hydromorphology are the two main pressures of rivers across Europe. So to preserve and protect those aquatic ecosystems, there's a need to better balance sustainable use and protection. It's not to bring back systems into a natural state and not using them, it's balancing. Do I have to be close? Okay. Balancing the protection and the sustainable use. So the conclusions was there's not enough coordination between implementation of Water Framework Directive and Natura 2000. Also the small water bodies, in other words the non-WFD water bodies, they suffer from an ongoing destruction, and there should be political recognitions for their importance, also to restore the larger water bodies. And restoring and preserving aquatic ecosystems brings multiple benefits for Bird and Habitat Directive and Water Framework Directives. And they give examples also from the Netherlands, like Room for the Rivers. And they focus on a new strategy of the EU, which is called green infrastructure. So this analysis from the Environment Agency was picked up in the EU blueprint to safeguard European water resources. And they identify possible measures to achieve this, like buffer strips, green infrastructure, protecting those small water bodies, those headwaters, natural water retention measures, ecological flows, and river continuity. The countries differ for the extent what is needed. They also say that there's more need for cross-compliance, that policies within Europe, like Water Framework Directive, but also Common Agricultural Policy and Flood Directive, should be better tuned to each other. So within the working program of the CIS, the Common Implementation Strategy, they identified that there is a guidance on natural water retention measures. We are working on that in the Netherlands also, guidance on e-flows. And there are also financial instruments within Europe which can help in that respect, which is the Common Agricultural Policy and the Structural and the Cohesion Funds. Where it comes to events like floods and droughts, they ask member states to tune their flood risk management plans with the river basin management plans. And again, this natural water retention measures can help in this respect. And on top, not so much to the content, but more cross-cutting, is that we should improve our knowledge base for this, and there should be more emphasis on science policy interfacing, and that's more the Brussels type of wording, but I would say also science practice interfacing. These are covers from projects financed by the European Union through LIFE and Interreg. And here you see that there's an overview of 250 projects dealing with river restoration or river basin management plans. So Europe is financing a lot of those river management work and river restoration and species protection work, but the knowledge is insufficiently shared and insufficiently available. So to summarize, many rivers have been regulated to support our use of it, but there's insufficient knowledge available about the ecological impact, especially where it concerns the hydromorphological modifications, and whether we can mitigate or restore them effectively. So this is where reform steps in. besides all the work that's already happening in all the member states. There's a lot. So this was our most recent meeting in Czech Republic. We have about 100 people from working on it, and there were 70. And the key people from the project, not neglecting the work of all the others, but the key people from the project are listed on the left side. We have 25 partners from 14 European countries within a reform. And they are not only universities, they're not only research institutes like Deltares. We also have 4 applied partners, 2 from Southern Europe, from Italy and Spain, 1 from the Netherlands, which is DLG, and 1 from England, which is the Environment Agency, who are helping us, who are actually strongly involved to help to make the research also available for application. So what are our objectives? Is to select indicators for cost-effective monitoring, and then that's within the field of hydromorphology. To improve tools and guidelines for restoration. Also to, based on my previous slide about these European projects, review existing information. That was a strong request in the call that we had to make use of existing information. To develop a process-based hydromorphological framework. To understand how multiple stress constrains restoration, because what you see, those hydromorphical degradation is often in a context where there are more pressures, not only hydromorphology. To assess the importance of scaling on the effectiveness of restoration, and to develop instruments for risk and benefits and to support successful restoration. And with this information to disseminate it, and in that way hoping to contribute to enlarge the appreciation for the benefits of restoration. So our approach in general terms is linking general understanding of river ecosystems, not only the ecology, not only the hydromorphology, also socio-economical aspects to application. So that is the fundament that we work with how river functions naturally. And the structure on the right side is that it's actually a case study based project. We use case study information from across Europe, and that we try to position within a wider hydromorphological framework of river types across Europe. And we want to share that information through an open source web-based knowledge management system. So unlike earlier EU projects, which could very much rely on national monitoring data, if you move to river restoration projects, those regular monitoring data are not so helpful. You need project data. So we have a large diversity of data within the project, which is a complexity also for us. So it's a case study based project mostly. Now I will give just a brief overview, because there will be presentations afterwards on the type of products we are making or we have made. So Massimo Rinaldi will speak also about our eco-hydromorphological methods. So we reviewed the methods that are there across Europe. Christian Walter will speak more about the conceptual hydromorphological pressure process-based impact biota. This is the DIPSIR approach, that you have a driver, agriculture, creating a pressure on your river systems, nutrients or fine sediments into the system, and that it has an impact on hydromorphology, on biota, and from that you can distinguish what types of response actions are required for this. Armin will address the case studies. We have 10 case studies within Europe where we collect new data in a standardized way. And that's also the places where we can very much look at river restoration in a catchment context. So it's not only about the locations itself, but also about the wider context. Ian Cowkes will address benchmarking. In most cases, it is unclear when we say that river restoration is a success, because it has not been specified when we consider it is a success. If you take it with high jumping, did we get over 2 meters or did we go underneath the bar with our jump? Angela Gournel will speak about the hydromorphological framework. And what we see with the river is with the classification from the Water Framework Directive that is very coarse, and it's all rather static in its approach. And river function is dependent on processes that operate to rejuvenate rivers and to create pioneering conditions, and also to have succession in. And she will address that issue in her talk. Tomorrow, Erik Mosselman will present, during the Dutch part of these 2 days, the wiki tools and how we want to offer, because we make very thick reports, over 100 or sometimes over 200 pages. And I wonder who is going to read those 200 pages. So we're looking for other ways to give you a gateway to that information. We interact with end users. That is today. As Wim said, we did that in Brussels last February, because then we had European coverage. It was not possible for one country to participate with many people, so we had only few representatives, and therefore we decided it's good to think also how to organize national events. And in our communication strategy, we distinguish between informing the wider public in a way, but also consulting, and you should see this day, as Joost Bunsma also said, see this way of consulting, of interacting. We want to hear what your questions were. And that we also did in Brussels, where we had a program and where we had breakout sessions, and then people could give us feedback, and that we mirrored to our work description into which extent it matches where are the questions from the people. And I was pleased to see that for the greater part, our output is what people are asking for. Although at the same time I say that we cannot replace all the efforts that are taking place in the member states. There's such a change if you compare to 15 years ago, before the Water Framework, how much countries are doing themselves already. So what we are searching for also with reform, what is our added value next to what is happening within the member states themselves. Okay. We cooperate with people. We're not doing it solely ourselves. So we make use of experiences from earlier projects. We are in close contact with the European Centre for River Restoration, who has the widest network of practitioners across Europe. We have been in close contact with the Life Restore project, which was not so much a research project, but that was a project dedicated to information and communication. And I think they've organized 2 events in the Netherlands. I think one in Arnhem and one in Utrecht during that program. We are in close contact with the common implementation, with the relevant working groups in the common implementation strategy, because that are our gateways to member states across Europe. And we have I'm very pleased with our composition of our advisory board, because the people are involved, they know the content of the work, and they give us very good questions of, in particular, how to make the science available for application. And Bas van der Wal is one of them, and he also came with the first idea with the initiative to organize this national event in the Netherlands. Okay. All the information from the project will be available through our website. Twice a year we have newsletters. Of course, we would welcome you very much to register to that, and that will also inform you after today about our progress. So thank you very much, and I look forward to a very good day.
Thank you, Tom. Tom spoke with us about the context, the content, and now we are going to into more detail. Sorry, I speak in the microphone.